Hello there. Welcome to your first geometry lesson. First of all, we're going to begin with what is geometry, the definition of geometry. And geo, it comes from two words, geo, which means earth, and metry, which means measure. So the definition means the measure of the earth. But what we're going to be doing really is breaking these measures down into much smaller units of measure. The smallest unit of measure is the point. Okay, and the point is represented by a dot. Okay, a point actually has no measure at all. It has no width, no length, but we represent it. This is called, when we draw a little dot there, that's called the graph of it. It is just a representation of what a point is. It's not really a point. A point has no measure, has no length or width, so it has 0 dimensions. And when we have a point on our lessons, we are going to represent it with a letter. So it could be A, B, C, D, whatever. So anyway, so that's a point. The next thing that we're going to talk about is in geometry is a line. Now a line is basically just a series of points that stretch out in both directions. So a line will go on infinitely in this direction as well as infinitely in this direction. So you would say that the number of points on a line is infinite. They cannot be counted. And also a line has no width, but it has length, which is infinite. So if you had a ruler that could measure teeny tiny measurements, you might be able to measure this representation of a line. This is not the actual line, it's just the representation. And the way that we represent the line is by letters, A, B, capital letters, or you can use a lowercase cursive letter. This is also an appropriate way to represent a line or to name a line. Okay, and when we're doing our lessons, we will call it, this is how we name it, line AB. Okay, this is line AB. It can also be called line BA. Doesn't matter, you can call it AB or you can call it BA. So anyway, that's a line with no width but infinite length. Okay, and the next thing we're going to talk about is called a ray. And a ray is different from a line in that it has an endpoint. This point right here is called an endpoint, and it goes infinitely in one direction. A ray can go this way or a ray can go this way. This particular ray is going in this direction, and it is very important in how you name this ray, or what you call it. This is called ray DE. You cannot call it ray ED because you have to begin with the end point and go in this direction. With lines you can say AB or BA. With rays you have to say DE. You have to start with the end point. Okay, and then the next thing is called a line segment. Okay, and this is just a piece of a line, and this has a finite number of points in it. The points just go from one end point to another, and the way that this is represented is line segment XY. Okay, and then you'll draw a little line over top of it like that, line segment XY. Okay, now when we're talking about line segments and different things that we'll be talking about later, we will use the word measure. Okay, and if two things have the same measure, then they are said to be equal. So if I had another line segment here that was exactly the same length, I would say that their measures are equal. Okay, now if you have shapes, if you have two different shapes, and one, they're the same shape, like say triangles, one's larger and one's smaller, but they have the same angles, or let's say we're talking about a square. Okay, one square might be big and another square might be smaller, but they're both squares. So we would say that they are similar. And this right here is the sign for similar. Okay, if they have the same size and shape, the same measure and shape, we say that they are congruent. Okay, this is the symbol here for congruent. This is the symbol for equal, and when we talk about equal, we talk about equal measures. This is the symbol for similar, and this is the symbol for congruent. Same size, same shape. Okay, now let me move these things out of the way. Now, when we are talking about representing or naming things, that is called line AB. This is how you would write line segment AB. Ray AB. And this is line segment AB. And this here is one that means the distance between A and B. So we would talk about what is the distance between A and B. It might be 5 or 3 or whatever number it would be. So anyway, so that is all for today, and I'll see you next time.